Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Kamani, licensed clinical psychologist. Thank you for tuning in today. You are here for Rising Up Higher from All Skinfolk and Kinfolk Experiences, Black Women in Toxic Jobs. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your patience. We had a little tech difficulties today. So we are all familiar with the term all skinfolk and kinfolk. I have a number of videos on my YouTube channel that talks about that. And we know that when someone who looks like us causes us harm in the workplace, that could be extremely painful. So we're going to talk about that today, not only in terms of the experience, but also rising higher from that. So experiencing post-traumatic growth, which is possible sometimes when we go through a type of a trauma. So I'm going to turn it over to my guest, Erin White, for her to introduce herself, and then we're going to get right to the conversation.
Hello, everyone, and many apologies for the technical difficulty that was on my part. My name is Erin White. I am located in Atlanta, Georgia. I am the master strategist of Hexagon Strategy Group, where I help mid to senior level Black professionals exit corporate America into entrepreneurship. Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be here, Dr. Kamani.
Thank you, Erin. And I just want to share that Erin and I are both part of the Hello 7 coach certification program. So I just wanted to say that in terms of how I met Erin. So Erin, I know we talked offline, but if you could just share with the audience about the toxic work experience in which there was all skin folk and kinfolk situation, just so they have an understanding of what your experience was.
Sure, Dr. Kamani, I wish there was one, right?
Ooh.
But this latest one really kind of threw me for a loop with a bit of betrayal, a bit of, as far as I'm concerned, a little bit of naivete. I have been in the workforce for several years. However, when you think you've been in the workforce where you are the minority and other folks the majority, but in this present situation, in this current situation, I really was excited to be in this arena, and I think I let my guard down. So what happens is when you're in a situation, you kind of let your guard down when people look like you. And I did not think that I was that naive to do that, but I was. And yeah, I was. And so in so doing, I think I didn't pay attention to some of the signs that, are pretty honestly quite inevitable with anyone that doesn't want you to succeed or move forward. And so the situation where, and quite frankly, the interesting part of it is it didn't start out that way. Initially, when I had the role, it was amazing. It was a great role. I contributed a lot. And then something changed inside of the role, right? So something changed inside of the role and it became different. And so it wasn't about entering into a role automatically. I had the role for a while. Something shifted. And everything changed, and it was quite harmful to not only me but the enterprise.
Erin, you said so many different things I think a lot of us can relate to, right? So the excitement when you first come in, particularly when you're working with other people who look like us. So there's that degree of excitement. And not to say that we're completely naive. However, when we see other people who look like us, we have some assumptions that they have similar histories, that we believe in the same types of things, that we have the same types of values, that we want to look out for each other, same team, all that. And then, like you said, something shifts. We don't know what it is, but something shifts and it turns bad. So can you talk a little bit more in terms of the betrayal part of it and how that impacted you, given that you initially came in, things were great, and then things shifted and things turned very wrong?
Yeah. So, for me, I have to say that when I said I let my guard down, and this is just Dr. Kimani, my mother is my very best friend, right? And one thing she said to me is she said, listen, people that betray you have the same trait. I don't care what they look like, if they're your same gender, if they're your same skin color, if they're your same race, if they're the same whatever. And that's where I messed up. Because being in corporate America formerly, and I was the minority, I recognized the signs. So but the signs are the same. And that's exactly what I want to share with people. That irrespective of race, the signs are the same for a person that does not want to, as the Bible will say, you should leave a fool to his folly, to her folly, right? And that's irrespective of what someone looks like. And so because I was in an environment where most of the people look like me, I didn't follow the rules.
In terms of the signs. Yeah. So that's interesting, because I think most of us, as we come into other environments where we are one or a few, and so we're already like on guard in those environments, right? So all the signs, we're aware, we're ready.
Yeah.
But then sometimes we lower down the guard, like you just talked about. Can you speak to some of the signs that you let your guard down and you didn't pick up on?
Absolutely. So when you get that gut feeling, right? When you get that gut feeling that things have shifted, pay attention to it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because like you said, Dr. Kamani, when you're walking in, you're probably on guard initially, right? But when things have shifted for you, or when you're being told that things are taking, or you're doing too much, or projects are being taken away from you, or responsibility is being taken away from you, tension, right?
Yes.
And so the other thing is when people don't want to hear your opinion anymore in the workplace. And I'm strictly talking about the workplace. When people don't want to hear your opinion in the workplace, that is when you're told to lower yourself in the workplace. That is when things start to shift. And that's why I said it's so funny that I was so naive that I didn't understand that some of the signs are the same regardless.
Yeah.
And this was a situation where admittedly it was someone that's of the majority gender was taking precedent, right? So I'm a woman. My pronouns are she and her, and in this case, pronouns were he and his and all that kind of stuff. And traditionally speaking, I was the woman in this situation, and so even though I had way more education and way more experience and everything like that, I was not allowed to be my complete self. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because of somebody else's ego, or having to feel like you have to uphold someone else, even if they're less qualified.
Correct.
Yes.
And so where I can tell you the signs that I missed. The signs that I missed were I was just going about my fabulous self. You know what I mean? And I swear to y'all, I have a shirt on. It looks like I'm not here, but but I was going about my fabulous self. I was keeping things in line. I was in my lane. I was doing my thing, and I was shining, and I was magnanimous, right, in my lane.
Yes.
Right. But I was too much in my lane. And instead of people staying in their lane and shining in their lane, I was too much in my lane. And so when I was told, let me see a piece of this, let me see a piece of your role and a piece of your role, and then little pieces of my role kept being taken away and taken away and taken away, even though that wasn't their lane.
Right. But you were just shining too bright in your lane.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. And then sometimes that can intimidate people. Absolutely. And so then they start trying to kind of take you down, or take, like you said, take responsibilities away from you, and kind of sabotaging you, undermining you in many ways.
There was a lot of undermining. There
Mm-hmm.
were conversations happening with my team behind my back. There were things happening behind my back that I was just like, and I think what took me so long to realize it is that I didn't expect it from, as the title of this live is, I didn't see it and I didn't want to see it. Put it like that.
You didn't want to see it. That's a good point.
I didn't want to see it because
Yeah.
it looked like me and you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because we know how hard it is as Black people to live in this society, number one, to stay sane
Right.
and to get a job and do well and do all these other things. So we have a certain level of, okay, well, I know how hard it is for you. So you want to extend somebody grace. But
Yes.
you're saying you did that and then they undermined you and disrespected you, didn't even let you know about team meetings for your
Yes.
team and all that. So Erin, can you share with us, because I talk a lot on my channel about the progression of leaving a toxic job. So I know for me, it wasn't like an immediate thing, even though I wanted it to be immediate. It took me a long time. It took a number of ridiculous things happen. So can you share with the audience, like, what was your progression in relation to not being at that job anymore?
Yeah, in this particular job, because Dr. Kamani, I wish I could say that it was just this job. So this job, to be completely transparent and authentic with your audience, is I was fired. I was fired from this job
Wow.
because I did not fall in line. And so there were other majority instances where I was either laid off, if I was in a majority context, but this was where we all looked alike context. I was actually fired. And so
Wow.
thank God. And what I want to share with your audience is, before I was an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. And I took this role and I still had my business, but I wasn't necessarily able to work the business because I literally poured myself into this work.
Yeah.
And so when I was let go, I had to build my airplane in the air, right?
Wow.
And so, and for your audience, you're really lucky and blessed to have Dr. Kamani to share kind of all of these topics with you, because it's going to help you as you move forward. And so my story is this, and I never want you to build your airplane in the air. And what saved me a little bit is that I had already had this business and I had been doing things behind the scenes. And so I had joined the same group that I met Dr. Kamani, and I had been working on little things here and there to kind of build my business up. And so when I was let go unexpectedly to me, and let's hear about that, I was let go unexpectedly to me. It wasn't unexpectedly to them because it was planned. That I had some modicum of reputation here. I had some frameworks together of what I was going to do. I was able to go and get clients immediately. The day I was let go, Dr. Kamani, the next day I secured my first client.
Wow.
One-on-one. God is good. And
yes.
Because he can see, he or she or whoever you want to call can see far way ahead than we, right? And so I would say, and I'm sure we'll get to this later, that faith is so critically important as you're moving forward in your career. But anyway, I had to build my airplane in the air. I had to get clients. I was still in this course that you and I are in the certification process that ain't cheap. So, and I still had to secure that. But one thing I can leave with your audience on this particular point is never stop doing you. I had a grandfather, God rest his soul, that said, there is a poor rat that has one hole. Okay. And that means that you should not rely on one place for your source of income, for your validation, for your source of anything, not unless it's in my faith, the Lord Jesus Christ. So,
Erin, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that? What he said again?
He said, God rest his soul, Pop. He said, it's a poor rat that has a hole.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. Yes. Yes. And our elders know that, as a people, we've always had to pivot, right? Like you talked about flying in midair, we've always had to pivot. But I think what's important for us and for the audience to know is the importance of having multiple streams of income. So
Yes.
don't just rely on that job as the only, because what happens if that job is not there anymore? And it might keep you at a job longer than you need to be there because you're so reliant on everything at the job. And Erin, you said something else too.
You
You
said
said
something.
something. Yes, you said that you poured so much into that job, like it was like all consuming. And I
Yes,
think that happens a lot to us as Black people, as Black women particularly, that
absolutely.
we are told you get that job, you give it your all, right? And we
Yes.
give our all, and sometimes we lose ourselves in the process. And that's what you were saying. And
Yes.
Erin, when you talked about, you said it was, I didn't know what was happening, but they did because they were plotting against you.
Mama.
Yes.
Yes, they did. And see, that's the thing is, but I'm gonna tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
My spirit told me something was happening. So that's
Ah,
what we were originally talking about, Dr. Kamani. Even though they were plotting, my spirit told me something was happening and I ignored it. So can I say a little bit about that?
please.
So when you talked about, especially as Black women, as Black people, we are taught to be loyalists, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
find value in being loyal. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, a lot of times, we are loyal to our own detriment.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I would, caution people just from what I have learned that
Mm-hmm.
no matter whether somebody looks like you or not, listen to your spirit and know that
Yes.
you are worthy and valid to move on without drama,
Absolutely.
without drama. Because right now I'm in the middle of drama, but without drama, without apology,
Mm-hmm.
without anything. We have to be, we are told to hang in there.
Yes, we are. And don't let them run us out. And you
Don't,
stick it out. You're not a
that's
punk. You're
that's
not
right.
weak. All
That's right.
that stuff. That,
Go
that
back out
we
there
they
and
get
get
we
her.
get hyped up.
Right. Go back out there. What your mama say if it was on the playground? Go back out there and get her. Okay. Come back in here
Yes.
until you take care of it. And a lot of times that leaves us spent and that
Yeah.
leaves us damaged when it's
Yeah.
okay to walk away.
Yes, I did a video about that I'm not quitting, I'm walking away because we have
Mama.
such a connotation about quitting that
Yeah.
we're losing or we're letting people win.
Yep.
No, you are taking your power back and saying, no, this is harmful for me. I'm leaving. And the part about not listening to ourselves, I think that happens to a lot of us. I know
Yes.
I experienced that too. I was like, there's something going on here, right? So they started stripping me of certain things and it was just some shady stuff. And I was like, this doesn't feel good in my spirit. But I
Right.
think what happens too, Erin, is that we start lying to ourselves.
Yep.
We lie to ourselves like, oh, no, you just tripping. Or no, they wouldn't do this to me. Or no, like all these other things. And I also thought about something you said when you talked about loyalty, that
Mm-hmm.
as Black people, we're often loyal to things to the expense to our detriment, right? And
And
Stephanie Perry has a quote and she says, these jobs ain't loyal. They're not loyal to you. They don't care about you. They
nope.
don't care about you, right? So why are you loyal to them?
Right.
Okay. So Erin, can you share with us, what was the impact of being in that job while you were there? And what was the impact in terms of what happened after they let you go?
Yeah.
How did that impact you?
Well, to be honest with you, Dr. Kamani, the worse it got when I was on the job, the harder I worked.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think a lot of us do.
Yeah. And that's actually a teeny bit embarrassing, right? Because, and not embarrassing in a way where I feel embarrassed now, but when I think about it, because actually no one's ever asked me that question before. So it's an amazing question. I worked harder. My integrity, how I was raised is my mother said, work as if working unto the Lord, which I still think is right, which I still think is accurate. Like I said, I'm a follower of the way. I'm a Christian. And so I worked as working to the Lord. But where I went wrong is that I attributed me doing that with being accepted and not paying attention to the signs. So
Ah,
had I did that and still been aware that things were happening, I wouldn't have been caught unawares, if that
yes,
makes sense.
yes.
I probably would have planned better. I
You got
probably
caught up in the game. You got caught up in the game. So the game is that they're trying to exploit your labor by making you think one thing. So you're thinking, if I work harder and prove my worth to them,
correct.
right? As
Yeah,
opposed to thinking, wait a minute, I'm already worthy. There's
yeah,
something going on with them in terms of them not valuing my worth. So that's a sign that I'm not ignoring. I'm just
correct.
ignoring that right now. Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
And so that's what happened. And again, going back to the title of this talk, I truly believe that I did it because I was being naive to say, surely I've, the last time that I was in a majority space was when I went to Howard, when I lived in South Africa. I lived there for 3 years, but in my career spaces, largely, I was either the only one. I've never worked in an environment where everyone looked like me until the last instance. And like I said, everything was similar, but I let my guard down because everyone looked like me and I was so happy. It's almost like, I'm an only child, right?
Me too. I am too.
Are you? Yes.
Uh-huh.
My birthday is actually next week.
Okay.
While we're in this workshop that we're going to go to, but I have half brothers and sisters, and I was always wanting to be with them and show my worth to them and wanting to be in the present. And I think it's similar. I think it's
Absolutely.
that when I was in this circumstance that I just didn't see it coming because I so badly wanted to be there. I so badly
Yeah.
wanted to do the work. I so
Yeah.
badly wanted to be amongst them and say, hey, look at us. And one of the
Yeah.
things that I realized is that using your gifts and talents that were given to you it's agnostic, so to speak, of what anybody around you looks like. Right? And that you have to just show up in the world in your authentic self and use the gifts and talents that were bestowed on you by God and not put so much on who's around you, right?
Yeah.
I went to a HBCU undergrad, okay? I went to the Howard University, right? Okay, because Howard people, we can be obnoxious. I don't want to see anything in the comments. Anyway, but I came from there where everybody was supportive. I lived in South Africa for 3 years where my whole tribe was amazing. You know what I mean? And so everybody was around me that was amazing.
Yeah.
We could talk things out. So when I come to a context here in America and I'm like, wow, I actually get to work with my folk, my guard was down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's important for your viewers, your listeners to know that the one thing that is always constant is to work as if you're working unto the Lord and just do your best, but pay attention to the signs.
And when you feel a message that you have to work harder to prove yourself, that's a sign. And you said something else that was really key, because I think this happens with a lot of us too, is that sometimes what happens in the work environment starts to parallel other unresolved issues in our life or things that we went through earlier. And so then that propels us to work even harder and try to get some sense of acceptance or work. But you have to look at the source, right?
Yes.
So your siblings are different from these people, but it's hard to distinguish the dynamic as it's happening, right?
Yes.
So Erin, you talked about, really making sure you had that plan B and you were ready, right? You were able to pivot. So in addition to professionally, it sounds like you were able to do it, right? How did that impact you in other ways, though, in terms of, you said you were overworking, right? That's when you were there, you were overworking. So that sounds to me like you really just gave your all, like you didn't really have a life, right? You gave all to your job. So can you share a little bit more in terms of what did your life look like as you were there and then right after you left?
So as I was there, it was difficult. Oh, you got a sweet baby.
I'm sorry, my dog is
no, it's a sweet baby. My dog actually passed away in March.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. And he was a little Yorkie. He thought he was big. Your dog sounds like he's big. He thought he was big. But anyway, you know, I invested in a therapist.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
And I'm paying my therapist weekly. And I will tell you, if it wasn't for that Black woman, because that's who I saw.
Yes.
I saw one therapist because
Yes.
I needed somebody that looked like me to speak to me and to look at me a little crazy sometimes when I was talking crazy, you know, because you know how we can do. And
exactly.
Yeah. And she was like, ma'am, no, it's not.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
It's
yes. It's a
fault.
reality test. And I've talked about that a lot. It's so important for us to be able to reality test, because what happens in a toxic job, they're gaslighting you. And then if you're not careful, it gets into your own mind. You start self-gaslighting, and all that toxic, that poison goes to your body. So yes, you need a therapist, and yes, you need a Black woman therapist. I love it. I love it.
I'm glad you said that. And I'm going to get back to your question. But when I'm telling you that gaslighting, that's what it was. Like, I had people walk up to me who were doing me in regularly, hug me, and say good morning or how are you, and hug me. Speaking about my dog, I had people give me condolences cards and everything, and say different things in front of people when my dog died, because all of this was happening at the same time. And for your listeners, y'all may say, you know, oh, it's a dog. No. When I lived in South Africa, I got my dog when I was there. And I had my dog for almost 18 years.
Wow.
18 on June 19th. Now I'm gonna tell you, everybody know that Juneteenth. I know he was born in June, but I just gave him that date. Okay, I'm just gonna say. I just gave him that date for the birthday, and I said, okay. June 19th. I knew you were born in June. I don't know when, but your birthday is June 19th because we're a Black family. Anyway, so, you know, but all of that was happening. They were hugging me. They were giving me condolences card. They were doing all this stuff. And when we talk about betrayal, it felt like betrayal to me.
You smiling in my face, hugging me, giving me cards, but plotting against me. What was that? The OJs, you backstabber, right? You're a backstabber.
Oh yeah. And even though this was happening at the time, and you know how you post on Facebook, you post all these things on Facebook. It was so funny because these people were connected to me on social media, never posted anything on social media, but would call me, text me, you know, all these things. They didn't want it public that they were saying these things, but then and you know, it was just that gaslighting was real. It's gaslighting to say, and most of the time I held up majority of what was happening in the organization. And then to almost say that gaslighting in a way of I wasn't allowed to make a mistake. So any mistake I made was met with, and I didn't make a lot. Let me be very clear. And I'm not being arrogant or whatever. And the reason why I say I didn't make a lot, because I really counted my costs. You know, I did research. I didn't make a lot of mistakes because I thought things through, and I involved other people in my thought process to counterbalance any gaps I had. That's how you minimize mistakes. But when I did make mistakes, they were used against me and almost not as a learning experience, or just kind of, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody.
Right.
Yeah. But as we as Black women, or as Black women, we're not allowed to make mistakes. I just want your listeners to know that doesn't change when your superiors or your peers look like you. That doesn't change.
Right.
Okay? Because a person, going back to what my mama said, because a person that is hell bent in doing you in will use that against you.
Yes. And someone who tries to do you in, as you just said, right? Deeply insecure, because no secure person would do that, because a secure person sees your gifts and talents, sees other people's gifts and talents. We're going to all work together and we're going to elevate. Deeply insecure people are threatened by that. So when your mother said, it doesn't matter what color, we're looking at deeply insecure people, right? And so, Erin, you said that you went to therapy. It was very helpful for you, right? And I tell people all the time that I'm still on a healing journey from that situation. I left over a year ago, I resigned over a year ago. And Erin, something that my Black woman therapist told me was that what was happening to me, because it was just getting so ridiculous, Erin. It was like I'm ignoring the signs, it's getting more and more ridiculous. She said to me, that was a rescue mission from God.
Woo.
God was telling me, you got to get out of there or you're going to die. You got to go. You got to go. Right. And so that's why I do this work. That's why I share my story. That's why I interview with more Black women, because it really is serious. It's life or death. I was seeing Black women around my age, maybe a little older, Erin. They
Yeah.
were literally dying. They were dying.
Mhm.
Okay. Dying, getting, having heart attacks, developing strokes, cancer, all these serious things. So that's why I want to talk about this and let Black women know that there's another way, right? So the
Yes.
big part that I heard you say was pay attention to that inner voice and get that support if you need it. Now, in my description section, I have a video that talks about how to find a Black therapist. And you were
Mm.
going to talk, Erin, about the importance of having a Black woman therapist.
Yes. So for me, I will say for me, it's
Yes.
so funny because I talk to a lot of my Black male friends, and they emphatically say they want a Black woman. It's
Ah,
oh yeah, all the time. Like a lot of my, they say I don't want to talk to nobody with a Black woman.
wow.
Isn't that something?
That
And
is something.
that's how I feel. That's how I feel. I don't want to talk to it. I want to talk, and I think maybe it goes back to mother. I can't explain why they want to, but I need that because I need to know
Yeah.
that you understand me from a point that you see me when I can't see myself. Now, one of the things that my therapist always says, because sometimes I always joke with her, I was like, I was about to cancel today because I didn't think I had anything to talk about, But then I get in there and I have so much stuff to unravel. And it's because you're looking at somebody who thinks similarly to you and that can unravel your thoughts. You need to be with somebody that can unravel what you're saying.
Yeah.
And that's why I advocate for therapy, is because if we stay in our own head or we talk to our friends, we're both not specialized in
Yeah. And we're
unraveling.
not objective. Your friends are not objective. They have their own opinions and yeah.
Because it's been more than one time where she's looked at me and said, that's not, no, friend. No,
Yes.
let's unravel that. And
Yes.
I went to her in crisis mode when all these things were happening. Now I'm still with her and I'm not in that crisis mode. And she has told me and poured into me about how much I've grown, but she's also let me know that I don't owe anyone my loyalty that is not being loyal to me. And so,
Boom.
and
Yes.
I didn't realize that. I almost felt guilty. And can I just say this? Because I know a lot of your listeners and you are listening to how deeply I love the Lord. And you can probably see how I love Jesus and I'm a follower of the way. But church has done a number on Black folk and on Black women, right? It has made us feel guilty about standing in our power and doing and standing up for ourselves, because but that's not what the word says. And so what she has helped me realize is that let's take a step back and see what's actually real and see what really God requires you to do.
Yes.
And in reality, God does not require us to get stepped on time after time after time after time after time. He does not, he or she or whatever you want to call, he does not require that from us. And that's why I tell people, if you're listening to me here with Dr. Kamani, read the word for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So, don't be loyal to something or someone who is hurting you.
That's
who is
right.
Harming you.
That's right. And get a therapist so they can help you unravel those things, that spaghetti, like I say, that spaghetti of thoughts. It's all kind of twisted and tied. Help them unravel that in your brain, because we don't owe someone to be subdued under them. The only person that we're to submit to is God and whoever he put in our life that's a covering for us.
Yeah.
And so I really I didn't do that, and I went and was loyal at all costs. And the importance of having someone, whether you get a free therapist or a counselor, regardless if it's work or anything else, whether it's like the topic of this is toxic jobs, you must get a therapist immediately, because some of the other stuff, whether it's from your childhood, your background, other jobs, will filter into that, and you will think it's the way to go, and it isn't, and it's not healthy. And listen to your spirit, listen to the spirit that's inside of you, and help, because you are not supposed to be in that situation. You are not supposed to be subdued. You are not supposed to be trampled on,
attacked and harmed,
no,
exploited. Yeah.
And I don't even care. I say this, Dr. McCartney, just one thing. Even if you make mistakes, you're not supposed to.
No. And the part about therapy that I wanted to say is that, particularly when you're working with another Black person who is hopefully enlightened. So if you're working with a Black woman who is enlightened, there's a certain level of experience that we can relate to one another, right? I don't care what part of the world you're in or whatever. Not that we're all the same, but there's a certain level of experience that we can relate to woman, right? And being able to communicate in certain ways, even the nonverbal. I know I do it with my clients. Like, girl, what'd you say? Right. And we're able to talk.
Always nonverbal.
Right. And we're able to talk sister to sister in some ways, right? So, Erin, I'm just thinking, because you said a lot, right? So in terms of the healing, and you talked about spirituality, you talked about your family in terms of source of support. So in your healing journey, you would identify those as part of your healing journey. Is that correct?
Yes. And I want to say that I acknowledge that everyone does not have a mother support system. So I imagine that a lot of Black women are tuning in, right? I, over time, have realized that I'm very blessed to have a mother that is very supportive, but I've over time have seen and have acknowledged that isn't always the case. And that's why I really rely on my faith, right?
Yeah.
Now I do have a mother that is tremendous, right, in my life. But I always tell people to rely on your faith. I'm not saying church, I'm saying your faith, and then find a church home if you are a Christian or a mosque or whatever, where you are embraced and you're loved, or synagogue or temple, whatever it is, find some place that you are loved and you're embraced and people listen to you and support you. Mine is church. So, but also I would be remiss if I did not talk about my sister friends who surround me. I am a woman, and I'm a Black woman who has a lot of women friends. And the reason why is because I show myself friendly. So as the Bible says, you be a friend, to have friends, so show yourself friendly, right? And I would like to commend you, Dr. Kamani, because how you reached out to me, you were just on a call. I didn't even see you. You showed yourself friendly to me by reaching out and saying, hey, I heard your story and I think it's tremendous. And you called me and you sat with me on the phone and you validated my experience. You know what I mean? And you really loved on me. And so, that's why I was like, oh Lord, trying to turn off these lights and do whatever. I'm sorry. But I really wanted to show up for you because, to be honest with you, not just to be on here, but because you reached out to me and you embraced me and you told me that my experience was valid. You know what I'm saying? And so I have a lot of friends
and that you have so much from your healing journey. You have so much to share and to help other Black women.
Wow. Thank you so much. Yeah. And thank you for saying that. But my friends, and I'm tearing up a little bit, but I have so many friends that just wrap their arms around me with a kind word or say, girl, yeah, they're crazy. You know what I'm saying? You're not crazy. You're crazy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So sometimes you just got to jump in there. Like, I got girlfriends from Philly. I got girlfriends. I live in Atlanta. I got girlfriends from here. I got girlfriends from Howard. I got girlfriends from my childhood that was like, what? All different types. Some of them were like, no, that's not right. And someone was like, well, we got to show up. You know what I mean? So, I have friends that range that, but all of them in their way validated.
Yes.
Because they know me and they know that I am a hard worker, that I show up, that I do things, and this was not warranted. And I have girlfriends that say, well, maybe you could have done that differently, but it still does not warrant how you were treated.
Yeah. You need that. And that's why it's so important. I tell Black women, check your circle.
Oh yeah.
right? Check your circle. If you are around other women, maybe other Black women who
Yes,
are
yes.
not supportive of you, they're tearing you down, not building you up, they
Yes.
should not be in your circle.
Yeah.
So
And
the
that's why I don't
power
watch
of
that foolishness
sisterhood.
on TV. I don't watch that foolishness on TV. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
me either.
Nobody.
Me either.
I don't want to offend nobody that's looking at you, but I don't watch that Real Housewives,
No,
whatever. I don't watch
no.
that Love and whatever. I don't watch any
Mm-mm,
of that because
mm-mm.
that's not my experience.
It's
And
toxic. It's
garbage in,
toxic.
garbage out. And
Yes.
you look at that kind of stuff,
Yes.
you will start repeating those behaviors. And I just want to point it out.
Absolutely. And it's showing a distorted image of who Black women, who we are.
That's right.
That's what's so damaging about it. It's social programming. And if we just eat the garbage,
Yep.
garbage in, garbage out, it becomes okay. So we don't go into that, but we all understand what we're saying, right? So Erin, we talked earlier too, in terms of like the title of this talk today, right? And we also talked about, you said, I want to make sure to emphasize the tremendous growth that I've
Yes.
experienced as a result of this hostile work environment, right? So I
Yes.
want us to talk a little bit more about the post-traumatic growth. So post-traumatic growth is something that some of us may experience when we go through trauma. I think I experienced it, right?
Yeah.
I went through this workplace trauma. I'm now talking on YouTube. I never had a YouTube channel. Never would have done any of this stuff, but that's post-traumatic growth. I have grown as a result of my experience, my trauma.
Yeah.
So Erin, can you speak to that in terms of your post-traumatic growth following this traumatic experience at your job?
Yes. The first thing that I want to say is to you, well done. And I want to say it's a choice. It's not given.
That's true.
Okay? So the fact that you're doing this show, we love our girl, because I just came back from her concert. Lemonade, right? Okay. Our Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? And so we know that you can make lemons, you can make lemonade out of lemons. Now, Dr. Kimani, it looks like you're frozen. I don't know if you can hear me. So I just want to make sure you can hear me.
Can you hear me, Erin?
Yes. You were frozen a bit. Could you hear me?
Because I'm in a hurricane right now. I'm on the West Coast. There's a hurricane right now. There's a storm, but it's not that bad. It's not that. So I lost reception for a moment. So I'm sorry about that, everybody.
No, you're fine. I wanted to make sure you can hear me. So
we love our girl.
Yeah, we love our girl Beyonce, right?
And yes.
I came from her concerts, but and that's what it is. It's a choice. It's a choice to make lemonade out of lemons. And so some people stay in there, and I would encourage your listeners and your viewers to not stay in there, to make a choice to move on and heal. So that's why we talked about earlier, and getting help, and not just from your girlfriends, but getting real help to unravel from people
professional help from a licensed therapist.
That's right. People that went to school for it. Okay. And but it's a choice to do that. And how I have moved on is that from my faith as well. You know what I'm saying? And I stay, so currently now I stay in, I'm going to my therapist tomorrow, I go every other week. But I also stay in my word, right? And so I read Psalms and Proverbs. Psalms is prayer, Proverbs was wisdom, because I want to make sure that I am not doing the wrong thing in the quest for my freedom, right?
Yes.
And how I built it out is that I started going to conferences because, I'm an entrepreneur. I was an entrepreneur before. And so I started investing in myself. And then that goes back to even before all of this happened, Dr. Kimani, we walked up to that stage. And we decided to become these coaches for Hello 7. And we stayed in that group is because we were bettering ourselves. And so I was always on a quest to evolve. And I think you always have to be. And so when you're not relying, going back to my pop, to my grandfather, there's a poor rat that has one hole, that I always wanted to evolve. So your job, your whatever should not be your only thing.
No. And have a bigger vision for yourself, right? If God is pushing you or letting you know there's another way, know that, and know that your job is not the be all and end all of who you are. You are so much bigger than your job.
That's right. And it is our job to work on ourselves spiritually, emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
professionally,
Yes.
mentally, physically. Okay.
Yes.
All of these things. It is our call to do that. It is our
Yes.
responsibility. It does not happen by magic. It does not happen by osmosis. And so when you say, how did I go on this journey, is because I always had that philosophy to always work on myself. And did it hurt? Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Did it
Yes.
hurt? Oh my Lord. Now I had just lost my dog in March, and then I got fired in April.
Oh
And the
man.
same people that fired me gave me cards and hugs. Let's be clear.
Wow.
Let's be clear about
And
what
all that time they've been plotting against you anyway, right? Even
indeed.
oh, that's horrible. That's
Indeed.
horrible.
And so you got to realize that on top of losing things that meant something to me, because even this job meant something to me even before I took the job. I was in this space. I was connected to this job before I actually took the role. Does that make sense? I don't want
So there's a level of commitment already.
Yeah.
Right. It went above just a paycheck.
That's right. And I was already committed to this organization way before I took the job. And so now I lost everything.
Wow.
At the time, what I thought was everything. But you don't lose everything when you have your faith, when you have Jesus Christ, when you have your friends, when you have your family, we have everything. But in the moment, it felt like I lost everything.
Devastating. It's devastating.
It was devastating, and it was completely disruptive. But to answer your question, never give up. Always have something. We are multifaceted, multi-talented people, and never make your job the only thing that gives meaning. So in the context of Western philosophy in the United States and the UK and these places, we typically identify ourselves with our job, right?
Yes.
And I would urge your listeners and your viewers to make yourself a well-rounded person. So for example, I used to take archery when I was a kid. So I picked archery back up. So I'm a budding archer. You look at me, he's like, do I look like an archer? I don't like archery, but I have targets in my garage. I have my I have all this stuff. I have my girlfriends that come over, my friends, that do things with me. I volunteer. I'm a member of 100 Black Women here in Atlanta. So, I have other interests. So it's so important to not just base our existence. I'm in Hello 7 with you. It's so important not to base our existence on our job, because we can be identified with that only. And then when something goes awry with that, then we're completely broken.
We're lost. We're lost.
Yes. And we have to have other things. Yes.
Absolutely. And you've mentioned Beyonce, so I got to bring up Beyonce too, right? Yes. So when I resigned, I immediately did a video to Beyonce's "You Won't Break My Soul," and I had a crown. I put my crown on, right? I'm gonna post a video in here. But I was like, that job was trying to break my soul. And when you think about being in a toxic job, it's like so sucking. Right? It just sucks all the soul out of you. And I'm just saying to Black women, you watching this right now, reclaim your power back. When you recognize the signs, pay attention to the signs, start making your plan to leave. Now, when I say this, I am saying this as a toxic job survivor, as a licensed clinical psychologist, but I'm also saying this to you for you to make your own decision. Because I'm not you. I can't say you better do this or whatever. I'm just sharing information with you. You decide what you need to do. Okay. So Erin, as we're winding down, can you share what if there's a Black woman who's watching this right now? She's watching this discussion and she's all in it, right? Now we're gonna get to the chat soon, Erin, because it's going, right? So it's going. So if you have a Black woman, if there's a Black woman right now, and she's watching this discussion, she's in a similar situation as you. What would you say to her? What would you want her to know?
That you aren't your situation. You are not your situation, no matter how bad it feels. And the reason why I say that, Dr. Kamani, is because similar to what I just said before about how we identify with our jobs, is You are not what somebody thinks of you, even if you have some fault in it. I'm not going to say you are not your situation. You are not what they say about you. You can rise from it. You can rise from it. Do not let their gaslighting tell you who you are. You are amazing. You are a child of God. You are resilient and you can change. Even if you have a teeny bit of fault in it, even if you, because it takes two to tango. I'm not saying that I am completely, absolved. Could I have done certain things better? Yeah. Did I deserve to be fired? Absolutely not. Did I carry that organization on my shoulders? Absolutely. And I was a beast. Okay. Okay. Couldn't nobody come against me. Okay. But at the end of the day, could I have done things differently? But when you have the weight of the world on you and you're doing the best you can.
Yes.
What you know, and you know you're doing the best you can. I would tell you, you are not your situation.
I love that, Erin.
You
I
can
love
redeem. He is a redeemer, and you can get out of there, and you can be bigger than you ever thought, and more than you ever thought you could be.
Yes, I had a reaction to when you said that, right? So not only you are not your situation, but that you have options. And that's what breaks my heart when I hear Black women, like in my comment section, they might say, oh, you just want us to leave? You just want us to be homeless, right? That fear-based response, because so many Black women feel like they cannot leave. They feel like they have no options. And I want you to know, just like Erin just said, just like I'm saying, you have options. I don't want anyone to feel like they have to stay and withstand abuse and trauma at a job. The other part that I took away from what you said was to know that we deserve better. We deserve better than to be in environments where people don't affirm us, respect us, don't want us to grow, get intimidated by you shining your light, right? That's a sign we don't need to be there, right? So, Erin, can you share with the audience, what is it that you pivot to? Like, what are you doing now? And how can people contact you?
I will tell you this. I'm just looking up something really quick. I don't mean to be rude. I'm looking down. I just want to read something to your followers.
And I'm just highlighting what my friend Marissa Price has said. You have so many options.
Yes,
so many options. Yes, we do.
May I read something before I go on?
Sure, absolutely.
I marvel at how many people haven't heard this, but it's so many people that have. So if you all know Marianne Williamson, she wrote something called A Return to Love. And this is, it's bigger, but this is a quote from it. Her book is called A Return to Love, Reflections on the Principles of A Course in Miracles. I just want to let you all know that you are a miracle, okay? You are a miracle because we're here. So especially if you are a Black woman and you're listening, the fact that we're here with everything that we've been through, that means our ancestors were strong and we are aligned to where we are. And so you are a miracle because you're here and you belong here. And so our return to love, this quote says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be?
Oh,
child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world.
Yes.
There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within all of us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And I think, Dr. Kamani, that
beautiful.
is what you do with this experience that you present before the world, using what your pain and your struggle was and turning it into something beautiful. And I am honored, so honored to be a part of this. And I thank you for even allowing me to be here with you and with your audience. And I would say to your audience that all of this is true about you. And so what I will leave you with is that this is what we can be. The road to glory is bright.
Yes. Yeah.
And it is hard. Okay.
Yes.
And it is hard, but it is bright and it is worth it. And I just want to say that where I am now, my company is called Hexagon Strategy Group. You can follow me on Instagram at the MastHER Strategist, HER, MastHER Strategist. You can follow me on LinkedIn at Erin D. White. And what I do is I help mid to senior level Black professionals exit corporate America into entrepreneurship. So to get there, what I call career freedom. Okay.
Yes.
So I do one-on-one coaching. And actually, this is the first time I'm saying it publicly, actually, is that I'm building a community that I will launch in the next 30 days that allows individuals, women and men to come, Black professionals to come into this community where we learn together. But I do VIP days to help you with your business, and I do one-on-one coaching. So if you're interested, please, you can reach me at either one of those places or at my email, Erin@hexagongrp.com.
Awesome. So I'm gonna put all the information description section so you can reach out to this outstanding, brilliant woman. Okay. And I just want to say, based upon what you said, first of all, thank you. I received what you said. I appreciate that. And I want the audience to see the exchange that we're having. Erin and I have never met in person.
Never.
We've only talked maybe twice on phone, whatever, right? But this is sisterhood. This is sisterhood right here, right? And when people say, "Oh, I don't believe in sisterhood," this is sisterhood right here. You're seeing it in action. So what I want to say to Erin was, you talked about light, shine your light, right? And when
Yeah.
you think about people who are who are secure, excuse me,
Yes.
they want for everybody to shine their light because they know that things will just be brighter if we all shine our light.
Yeah.
And when you think about people who are telling you to dim your light, that is problematic. That is
Yes.
problematic. And then, Erin, by you shining your light, by me shining our light, I don't take anything away from your light,
Nope.
right? So that's
Nope.
the part we need to understand too. It gets brighter. And then
Mhm.
I think the woman you just quoted, I think Oprah Winfrey quoted her in my graduation speech, right? So when
Yes.
I graduated from Spelman, another HBCU, right? So when I graduated from Spelman, Oprah Winfrey was our graduation speaker. And I'm pretty sure she quoted this woman.
Yes. They're friends.
Yeah, okay. She
Yeah.
said, in life, people might try to treat you like a slave girl, but
Mhm.
you remember you're a queen girl. And I
Woo!
remember that so many times because at that job, they were trying to teach me, not the beginning. The beginning was good, right? But towards the end, they were trying to treat me like I was a slave girl. But I was grounded. I knew because my family poured into me. Just like you talked about your family,
Mhm.
my belief in God, I already knew what I was working with. So when all this stuff they're trying to tell me I'm less than, I was like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Right. So my hope is that we are grounded in our greatness, right? And that we connect to our queendom. So shameless plug, I do have a workbook that helps Black women connect to our queendom, right? When we in these situations where they disconnect us from our queendom, if you want to connect back to your queendom, I got a workbook for you. Okay. So Erin, any last words as we're signing off for today?
The last word is buy Dr. Kamani's workbook. Okay. I will buy Dr. Kamani's workbook. Please, hopefully, you can send me the link. And this is an example. I just want to echo your words, Dr. Kamani, is that this is sisterhood. The title of this broadcast is All Skinfolk and Kinfolk, and that's true, but it's no cause to walk out in the world with trepidation. Open your heart,
Yes.
be vulnerable like I was to Dr. Kamani, and quite frankly, how Dr. Kamani was vulnerable to me,
Yes.
to even allow me on here. Be respectful, be love and light, and read your word. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yes.
Because
Okay.
there is nothing that is going to take you farther than that. You are worthy, you are amazing, you're beautiful, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And have more than one hole, as my pop-up said. It's just
That's quote. I love that quote. I love the quote. So, Erin, before we sign off, I'm going to read the comments in the chat because,
okay.
again, I always want the Black women in the chat. Well, there's other people in the chat too, but I want to make sure that people in the chat are heard, right? In terms of
Yes.
our voices being heard. Okay. So this is right on time. Good evening, everyone. It totally is. Good evening. Good evening. Yes, I've been there. You want to trust that people who look like you have the best intentions. I'd offer another term, hopeful. Naive is maybe too harsh for someone wanted that you wanted something good.
Yeah.
Exactly. People who look like us can be very much not like us. Yes, sometimes that's true. Great point. That's great advice. The signs are the same, 100%. Wow. Wow. Patriarchy, undermining authority, and then firing you. Yes, crazy. Build your airplane in the air, bars. Yes, you can feel the shift in your spirit. I experienced that too. My spirit cannot rest.
Mm,
Never ignore your instincts. Yes, self gaslighting is real.
mm,
Marissa Price did a video on self gaslighting on her channel. Please subscribe to her channel as well.
mm,
Marissa Price. And then we did a video together about self gaslighting.
mhm.
I've been there before. I just never realized that Black people from other countries will look at me as an American differently. They conspired against me as well. Sad. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
You so relatable. I'm so sorry that happened to you. And that's why I love my chat because they
Yeah.
support each other in the chat too. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. I had the attitude that we're all Black. However, they obviously saw it differently. Redefining my happiness. Yes, pay attention to the signs. Yes, toxic jobs really do bring up childhood trauma. Yes, know your dog is like family. I understand. Yes, so true. Facts. Yes, the hugging, talking about us, staying together and being sisters, but being gaslighted by your sisters and brothers, yes, very painful sometimes. This is a life or death matter. A Black woman therapist is hard to find her, found one, but she triggered by what I told her when only one. Sad to say, I use your videos of therapy. Okay, I'm happy that the videos are helpful to you. I just want to say to you, please don't give up on therapy because that one therapist wasn't a good fit. So check out the video I have in my description section about how to find a Black therapist. And
Mm.
please keep looking because
Yeah.
when you get a really good Black therapist, it's transformational. Okay. So please don't give up on therapy. It is really true that the awful folk who denigrate, gaslight, and minimize are insecure. They seem quite assured in their horribleness. Are often, as Dr. Kamani pointed out, rewarded. Yes, they are. The bullies are often rewarded and promoted, which is
Yep.
crazy. That
Yep.
shows you the system is toxic.
Yep.
Yes, they're very much rewarded. I do believe they are deeply insecure. They are hyper focused on their victims and have to rally others up around you. Yes, exactly. Yes, community. Dr. Kamani has helped so many of us heal. Thank you, Marissa. That's so sweet. I don't hardly watch TV at all. Wow, there are just no words. Erin, I really feel this loss you experienced. Given Queen's crowns in the chat. Listening, this is such a powerful conversation. Thank you for the statement. Yes, yes, you have so many options. And just thank you, thank you. Let's see. I'm planning to take a sabbatical in 2024. Yes, excellent. I'm not sure what's next, but I'm excited about the next phase of my life. I hope that you've already checked with Rashida Dow. I think she does about taking sabbaticals. Whoop, whoop. Um, oh, wow, I just heard about the book in a whole other community. This means I need to get the book. This is a sign. Yes, I took a sabbatical too, and it changed my life. So good that you're planning a sabbatical. Exactly. I'm not in the States, in Europe. Okay. So my hope is that everyone watching this video, this was so rich, so powerful, that if you need to watch the video again, watch it again,
Yeah.
pause at sections, reflect on what we talked about. My hope is these videos can help you with self-reflection, okay? So that you can get your mind right. You got to get your mind right so you're ready to go. Get your mind right so that you can go. And I am ushering in a movement. Erin, I'm proudly saying this. I am ushering in a movement for Black women to leave and heal from toxic jobs. If
Yeah.
my videos can help you, then I am honored to do this for you and I will continue to do this. Okay. So I am signing off. And Erin, thank you again so much. I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
And so I want to say also, because we're part of the coach certification program for Hello 7, thank you to Rachel Rogers as well, in terms of all that you are teaching us. And we will be out here in these streets as
In
Hello
these
7 coaches soon, okay? So thank you everyone for tuning in. Please share this video with other Black women. As many Black women as you know, share the video because there's a lot of Black women struggling in toxic jobs. And give this video a thumbs up. It lets YouTube know to suggest this video to other Black women. And subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Lifting as we climb consulting wellness services. Okay, take care, everyone. Erin, if you could just stay on for one moment, okay? Take care, everyone. Bye.